All right, guys, good morning and happy Wednesday. This is Taylor getting the party started for June 7th. Let's do a quick sound check here in the free room and over on YouTube. And a quick look at the futures. The S&Ps and the Qs are a little bit quiet. But check out the small caps here. Up about 0.6. So more signs of progress. If you look at the rut. Up the small cap futures here. Lots of progress. And in a pretty impressive fashion. The daily squeeze actually fires to the upside. As of this morning, we got a good chunk of buy signals. And from here, I think if the IWM can turn the corner, should be beneficial for the market. Even the Dow Jones. All 30 of the Dow stocks. Some pretty good progress here as well. Where now it looks a little bit more like is they shift momentum, crank out a good handful of buy signals. It does look a little bit more like potentially that daily squeeze wants to turn the corner and fire to the upside. Again, good for the market. The junk bonds, usually a pretty good gauge of overall market direction. All kinds of progress here. Cancels out all the sell signals. Momentum just begins to shift positive inside that daily squeeze. And you got a bunch of buy signals here on your lower time frames. So IWM fires a daily squeeze to the upside. If the Dow and the junk bonds can fire the squeeze to the upside, I think we continue to see the S&Ps moving and grooving. And then if you take all the names in the S&Ps and give them an equal weighting with the RSP here, kind of the same thing. Cancels out all the sell signals. Indicator flips bullish. Momentum crosses positive down here in that daily squeeze. So that kind of shapes things up here to see that daily squeeze fire to the upside. So the small caps, the Dow, the junk bonds, the RSP, if they can all fire their daily squeezes to the upside, we jump over here to the S&Ps, and that should all bode pretty well for continuation into higher prices. Now, not in a straight shot. We always got to expect a flush. Always got to expect a little bit of choppy back and forth. But as far as the squeezes go, we've officially fired all the bull squeezes. Bull squeeze on the daily chart, the 2-day chart, and the weekly chart have all fired long. All right, with the biggest of the bunch, of course, being that squeeze here off that weekly chart. So again, these are pretty big levels. Big round number at 4,300, and then not too much higher. You got the highs from back here in August, right around that 43.25. So maybe on the first attempt, maybe we don't blow through that level immediately. But until proven wrong, guys, the thinking is if we get a flush, and this kind of goes for everything, your Amazons, your Googles, Nvidias. Tesla's got a brand new weekly squeeze. Netflix. When the squeeze just fired, you're trying to catch a pullback. All right, with the thinking the squeeze works as advertised, and goes on to give you a good 5 to 6 to 8+ weeks of that continuation. So until proven wrong, that's what I'm thinking. The weekly squeeze, the structure, the signals. For now, at least, everything points towards you go on ahead and buy that dip. But for today's action here, guys, couple things making some pretty good moves here into the open. So Tesla, who's really been a beast here, Tesla's going to open around 228. So that should put it up about, it'll be up about 3%. But here's what I'm liking for Tesla. Brand new weekly squeeze. And then everything under that weekly squeeze, your daily chart, your 4-hour, your 2-hour, everything leans bullish here on the indicator. So on any pullback, right, anything that offers a good entry, I would look to buy that flush, thinking that weekly squeeze here eventually fires to the upside. And from there, you're probably looking for 250 at a minimum. All right, so the key with all these things is just trying to fight for the good entry. Where you can buy Tesla at 230, you might sit through a $10, $20 pullback, which can be a little bit painful, but nothing about the squeeze here is invalid. You catch it on that flush, your calls are a little bit cheaper. Maybe you're trying to sell some puts. The puts are a little bit plumper. All right, then you catch the breakout. So Tesla is shaping up here off the weekly, but no such luck this morning as far as getting a dip to buy. And then, like I mentioned, Netflix. Netflix is going to open around 412, which does take you back above that weekly 200. But the thing here is your weekly squeeze. All right, we're only 2 dots into that squeeze firing. Squeeze works as advertised. 6, 8, 10 plus weeks. It's usually what we're looking for, but never in a straight shot. So the gap up this morning is not going to help. But any pullback, any consolidation, anything that offers a good entry, I think you're going to see continuation here. It's a big level. All right, $400, your weekly 200 SMA. And you can see initially, we've had a little bit of trouble. Pokes its head above on the first attempt. All right, a little bit of a dip. Goes again for round 2. All right, a little bit of a dip. And this morning, you're going to open up back above that 200. So from a weekly chart perspective, Tesla, Netflix, and the S&Ps, until proven wrong, and we're proven wrong, guys, when on that pullback, structure begins to break down. All right, so as far as my game plan to buy the dip in the S&Ps, where am I wrong for the time being? Yeah, that's a flush back under that daily 21 EMA. Pull back to 4,200, and then continue to break down from there. Well, at least in the short term, I got to can the idea of thinking we're going to get this immediate continuation. But then as far as a few things we took this week, so Shopify and Zoom. So we bought some Zoom calls here on Monday, and we're playing off that daily squeeze. Now, here's the thing about that daily squeeze. Off that daily time frame, the indicator is still neutral. All right, no buy signal, no sell signal. So in this kind of situation, when you're waiting for your daily chart to flip bullish, but you already have your daily squeeze, and she set it up nicely right on top of that 21 EMA, while you're waiting for that daily buy signal to really confirm the move, the trigger for the entry comes from your buy signals on your lower time frames. If you can visualize it, on that pullback to the buy zone, the 2-minute time frame, the 3-minute time frame, the 5-minute to 15-minute, sometimes even the 30-minute, your lower time frames go into a downtrend. And what that looks like through the lens of the big 3 indicator is a 5-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute sell signal. Like everything from the ground up flips bearish on that pullback to the buy zone. At that point in time, if we're looking for support, then you're looking for you're looking for your sell signals to flip neutral. So your 5-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute, they're bearish on the way down. They cancel out the sell signal. They go neutral. All right, we're holding the line. What triggers that push off that 21 is when they finally flip bullish again. They're bearish. And if they continue to stay bearish, you break down and you go lower. But then they flip neutral. Then they flip bullish. That's what can trigger that daily squeeze, even in the absence of a daily buy signal. So we caught a pretty good push here yesterday. And this morning we're going to open right around that 64 level. So for shop here, a little bit bigger picture. But if we do start to see more rotation into, Shopify's, Roku's, the Zooms, like all of the ARK ETF kind of stuff, That's where I think you see something like a Shopify probably heading back towards that weekly 200, right? 77 to 80 bucks, which of course from here is a pretty big move. But that I think is a pretty good target here for a breakout in the short term. But as far as the calls we got here, I'm really trying to see what's up at 65, 66. A little bit more of a grind into that level. And then things kind of consolidate. They stall out a little bit. We might just book the profits. If we can blow through that level, things will certainly get interesting. So we got some shop calls, and then yesterday we picked up some calls here in Zoom. Got a brand new daily buy signal. Got ourselves a brand new daily squeeze. And then we got some good action here on our lower time frames. So for Zoom, we're looking for a push towards that daily 200. All right, 73 to 74 bucks. And the exit on the trade is a move or a close back under that 21 EMA. All right, so here's a potential reward. And here's a potential risk. I want that box to be a little bit bigger than that box. Ideally, a lot bigger than that box. So we got some shop, we got some Zoom. And then again, I like Netflix on a pullback. I like Tesla on a pullback. I like the S&Ps on a pullback. And I continue to think a big part of getting the S&Ps through 4,300, through the August highs, and then eventually over the course of time into higher prices. I think a big part of that is all the names outside of your 5 or 6 semi stocks. So that's where that IWM daily squeeze firing long. That daily squeeze in the Dow potentially firing long. The daily squeeze in the equal weighted index firing long. Should give the overall market a little bit of boost. But for now, guys, that's kind of all I got for you. We did like Boeing here coming into the week. But up to this point, Boeing's been a little bit sloppy. Like yesterday's daily candle. Who's got time for that? We're up here at 212. We're down here at 200. Right, the whole goal is once we pull the trigger. And mind you, guys, does it happen every time? Of course not. Right? That's trading. But the goal is once you get long or short, right? Pretty quickly, you should be moving into a profit. That's why we got the focus on the squeezes, the signals, and trying to nail that entry right there at that 21 EMA. Keep it simple. But if y'all got any questions, any charts you want to take a look at, throw them on at me and we'll take a look. Man. Future's pretty quiet here with the exception of the small caps. Now, I know we've done this together in the options room before, but just for craps and giggles, have y'all ever actually looked at what's in the IWM? It's kind of a joke. I want to say most companies in the IWM aren't even profitable. But check this out. Let's pop open the hood here. I mean, I've never even heard of half of these. I've definitely heard of Texas Roadhouse. Big fan of the Texas Roadhouse bread rolls. But yeah, here's your IWM. Shockwave Medical. Apellis Pharmaceutical. Celsius. And a bunch of stuff I've never heard of. Crocs. So QQQ, you got Google, Amazon, Apple, Tesla, right, all kinds of sexy stuff. Here we've got Celsius, Texas Roadhouse, and Crocs. Quite the funky bunch. But that funky bunch is currently leading us here into the open. So we thank the funky bunch. All right, what's up, David? David's got some Nvidia. So I think two potential buy zones here for Nvidia, and we're going to open up about a buck or so higher this morning. But on my end, two potential buy zones. The first could be the daily AEMA, which is right around that 380 level. And then on the event, you get a deeper flush. My favorite entry is always back here at that 21 EMA. And then maybe as a third level, you mark up the gap. Maybe they come down, they flirt with the idea, trying to fill the gap, and then maybe turn the corner from there. But for me, the key is regardless of where it is, all right, I'll take it at 380. I'll take it at 360. I'll take it at 345. Regardless, I need a trigger. And for me, the trigger here for the entry off of one of those levels would be a buy signal across my lower time frames. Say we're on top of that 8 EMA, and then my 15-minute, my 5-minute, my 30-minute, they crank out a buy signal. To me, that's a trigger for an entry for a push higher. Lower time frames start to shift the structure, they start to shift the momentum, then you get the party going. So we'll see if that can kind of shape up here today. And then Tim's got some LRCX. 618 at the open. Actually, you got a pretty big bid and ask. So we'll see where that opens. This thing's been a total beast since the back here you had that nested squeeze setup. The weekly chart, the 3-day chart, the 2-day, the daily, the 4-hour. This one was crazy. The 2-hour, the 1-hour, the 30-minute. Like almost every time frame had that buy signal and a squeeze. And off she went. For the record, we bought it right here. And we took the trade off at 545. So that one stings a little bit. But I think for now you got good structure, and it's kind of behaving like a trend. Big push away from the 21, reversion to the mean, continuation, right? A little bit of reversion to the mean. So from here, I think to the extent this can hold above that 585, what I'm looking for is lower time frame buy signals that keep that continuation going. Where if we were to go back and study that pullback and then study the continuation higher, you would see the shift off of your lower time frames. They go bearish, they go neutral, then they go bullish. And the same thing here happened over the last few days. 4-hour chart all the way down to the 5-minute goes neutral. Couple of these little guys probably go bearish. All right, but now you're turning the corner. 5 minutes got a buy signal, 15 minutes got a buy signal. So that's the action I'm looking for off the lower time frames to try to get that continuation higher off that 21. Looking pretty good. Hey, what's up, TPS? CSX. Not too shabby at all. So the first observation here, which I think is to the benefit of the bulls, is that you have your daily squeeze. Momentum actually broke. All right, momentum goes 0. But they hold that 200 perfectly. And now you're pretty much on the verge of seeing that momentum shift positive again. It already kind of leans that daily squeeze towards wanting the fire to the upside. Right, a little bit like back here. Daily squeeze prints. You get a fresh cross in momentum. Now the bulls have basically filled up the gas tank. Now they can take off. So daily chart looks pretty good. And then you got that squeeze combo with a brand new bull squeeze on your weekly chart. And then another bull squeeze here off your 2-day chart. And then on the 5-minute, what you might look to trigger a nice pump today is that bull squeeze from the 5-minute chart. And even a 5-minute squeeze can potentially trigger that domino effect. Market opens, 5-minute squeeze fires long. You get a good pump here going out of CSX. That turns your daily chart bullish, the daily squeeze fires, then the 2-day, then the weekly. A big fan of that nested squeeze setup. All right, Tom's got some CRSP. What's up, Tom? So this reminds me of Shopify. In a lot of ways, actually. All right, huge pump. Little consolidation. Back to the 21. Now we got a brand new squeeze. But my weekly chart, my 3-day chart, the 4-hour, 2-hour, 1-hour, they're all neutral. So those time frames aren't communicating that the structure, that the momentum, that everything is fully locked and loaded for that huge push higher. So that's where, to me, it becomes all about my lower time frames. All right, the 21 EMA, that serves as that launching pad. What you need off that launching pad is a trigger for that push higher. So what I'm seeing here into the open is a bull squeeze off that 30-minute chart. So that could be what triggers your daily squeeze. So we'll go check that one out. That's what I would anchor to for now. Where if the 30-minute squeeze can't fire to the upside, or we're back under that 64, then CRSP is just probably not ready just yet to make that big breakout. All right, being that our bigger time frames are just a little bit quiet. But if this can fire long, then from there, everything else can begin to heat up. So that's what I would focus on for now, 30-minute squeeze. Yeah, David, I saw that that Boeing news yesterday had them all over the place. Good morning, Earl. Yeah, Earl. So for JP here, actually, the first thing we'll take a look at is just the financials. Kind of along the lines of the Dow, the IWM, the RSP. Little bit of progress here as well. So we do have a sell signal off the weekly chart. So we haven't taken care of that problem just yet. But as far as the daily squeeze is concerned, for now you got a pretty good chance, I think, of seeing this fire to the upside. And I think you got a pretty nice target here, right around that 33.5, 33.60. Daily 200 SMA. But where I say that daily squeeze is shaping up to fire to the upside, at least for now, of course, lower time frames. Your 5-minute, 30-minute, 1-hour, 2-hour, and the 4-hour, they're telling you it's go time. All right, so that's where I jump in, buy my calls, sell my puts, with the full expectation that relatively quickly, we're pushing towards that target. This pokes its head back under that 21 EMA. I got zero tolerance for that. So with the XLF shaping up a bit better, we went through all the banks yesterday in the gold room. In my opinion, JP's probably the cleanest. Got some good old-fashioned squeeze action. Bull squeezes print on the weekly, the 2-day, and the daily. So think of the recent moves out of Netflix. Think of the moves out of LRCX, etc. Think of the move that's potentially starting in the S&Ps. You look for the same pattern here from JP Morgan. If the daily squeeze fires long, pretty good chance that goes on to trigger the 2-day squeeze to fire long. And then you got the big boy, your big weekly squeeze. So it's pretty simple, guys, where if that daily squeeze can't fire long, well, then guess what? You're getting nothing from that weekly squeeze. 1, 2, 3, they all fire one after the other. That's where you're getting some really nice moves. So I think for a financial pick here, JP is probably the cleanest. And I'm a fan of going with the best in breed. Cameron's got some Roku. Yeah, so this kind of falls into the camp of the Kathy Woods kind of stuff. Zooms, Rokus, squares, all that kind of fun stuff. So the weekly squeeze here is pretty interesting. You're coiled up in a weekly squeeze. And then notice this, guys, where wow. Yeah, so about a year ago, all right, June, July of last year, momentum on that weekly chart actually crosses positive. But as we can all see here, it's been about a year. And they actually haven't done too much with that positive crossing momentum. So not saying they start to use it now, but food for thought. All right, so you got a big weekly squeeze setting up. And you have a daily squeeze that just fired long. So just like that weekly chart from the S&Ps, Tesla, etc., off that daily chart here for Roku, if we can get a decent dip, my thinking is you buy that dip, looking for a little bit more here out of your squeeze. You know, back here when this squeeze fires short, if you can catch a decent bounce, and that squeeze is only 1 or 2 days in the firing short, you try to sell some calls, you buy some puts, you look for a little bit more out of that squeeze. So this is just the opposite. Nice pump. We're 2 dots in. Any kind of flush here, I think, offers a nice spot to jump in. And then in the background, you got your weekly squeeze setting up. So Roku looking good. Roku looking good. Oh, Thomas, I've heard of Crocs. I've heard of Crocs. Admittedly, I'm not even opposed to a comfortable pair of Crocs. It's just more so if I'm building out a market index, if I got hired with the task of building out the newest market index, I don't know if Crocs would make the top 10. Texas Roadhouse definitely, but Crocs might be a bit more top 20, top 50 kind of thing. And then Ben from sunny Puerto Rico's got some GLBE. So this weekly squeeze hasn't fired just yet. So I think any flush. And of course, guys, on the flush, you're making sure everything holds structure. Gotta wait for the flush. Gotta wait for support. And then off a lower time frame, you gotta wait for a trigger to actually get long. All right, you pull back here, and it kept pulling back, it kept pulling back. So structure, support, and then a trigger. But yeah, I think if you can catch it on a decent dip, you plant your seed and you try to ride out that weekly squeeze. Very good stuff there. And then Dave Wave has got some XHB. I believe are the home builders, yeah. Ooh, nice call out. Got that triple squeeze setting up. All right, so as far as an entry off that daily chart, maybe a little bit extended. But man, bigger picture. If you can catch it on a flush, I think you jump in looking for your daily squeeze, then your 2-day squeeze, then the weekly squeeze to fire long. Just like at Netflix, just like JP Morgan, and a lot of the other names that we've covered here this morning. Good stuff. Really good stuff. Yep, Tim, my pleasure. All right, guys, let me jump over to YouTube, see if the good people on the YouTube's got any questions. Hey, what's up, Jace? So Jace wants to look at LMT, a little Lockheed. It does remind me of a couple of the things that we looked at this morning. Where, yeah, it's not Nvidia. It's not Apple. Right? It's not some overwhelmingly bullish trend. But it is an interesting moment in time. Right? Where they spanked it. And they spanked it pretty good. Now you're getting some positive shifts. Right? In both structure and momentum. We've cranked out 1, 2, 3 closes back above that 21 EMA. They've canceled out the sell signal on the daily chart and every other time frame. Momentum inside that daily squeeze just begins to shift positive. And now your trigger here off your buy zone is that 2 hour, 1 hour, 30 minute, 15 minute, 5 minute buy signal. So now you got despite the fact that we're not in an uptrend, you've got the fixins here with that momentum shift with your lower time frame buy signals to potentially see that daily squeeze fire to the upside. You take it a step further, what could really be the trigger here is that 1 hour squeeze and that 30 minute squeeze. Now, if you asked me about it a few weeks ago, then there's nothing to like here for a move to the upside. We're under the 21, momentum is negative, we got sell signals. No real indication you're trying to turn the corner and actually take it higher. And then the last piece of the puzzle is always is risk versus reward. You buy it right here, you cut that trade off on a move back under the 21, you're not getting your head torn off. But if that squeeze fires to the upside, you should have a lot more reward on the other end. So I like it. AM, can I take a look at Affirm? Yeah. Kind of reminds me of Tesla, right? Where Tesla blows off that 21, takes a very brief pause at the 200 SMA, and then you continue to go from there. So we're at that moment in time where by no means at all would it be crazy for a pullback down to $14. But it also wouldn't be crazy to see continuation into higher prices. So here's what I would tell you for today on Affirm. I think the best thing they got going right now for more continuation is that 1 hour bull squeeze setting up. All right, initial push, a little consolidation. You print a brand new squeeze. Be going. Little pullback, little consolidation, brand new big 3 squeeze. But the context is if the squeeze here turns a corner and fires short, you got a huge magnet in the form of that daily 21 down there at $14. So be mindful of that. But for continued pumpage, I would watch that hourly squeeze here today. And as I'm saying all this, I'm just now realizing it's going to open up around $18.50. So there's the there's the hourly squeeze doing its job. Not in a fashion where I can catch the move here, but yeah, that's going to be a nice pop. $3 on a $15 stock, that's pretty solid, man. Oh yeah, 1850-ish. So I'm a little bit late to the party on that one, but nice stuff there out of that hourly squeeze. So Charlie, that's a great question, man. So Charlie's asking on the Zoom trade, do we want to be mindful of the fact that you got your weekly 21? Basically right above the current price. Yeah, that's a great observation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is kind of like your 6th or your 7th attempt to get through that level. So here's where to me that's okay. That's okay because the weekly 21 right, is right near my exit. Like, yes, I'm potentially getting long right underneath big resistance, but I'm doing that really close to my buy zone. Meaning, in plain English, if again, Zoom just gets stuffed here off that weekly 21, I'm not going to take a huge hit with an exit back under that daily 21. But now imagine instead of me buying Zoom down there at that daily chart, imagine I bought it up here. And then right at 74 bucks, there's your weekly 21. Well, that I'm not a fan of. We're already a little extended, and now I'm getting long right underneath major resistance. At that point, the pullback to the 21 EMA, that's going to be a little bit painful. So great question, man. I think it all depends on, most importantly, off these lower time frames, is there any indication we finally got the good stuff here to potentially break through that level? And to me, that would be the daily squeeze, the 30-minute squeeze, and all the buy signals. But in terms of the positioning of everything, if we do get stuffed here again, we don't have too much room lower before we take a trade off. Where imagine instead Zoom gaps up this one, it opens up right at that daily 200, and then we jump in and buy our calls. Well, at that point, you probably can't even use the 21 down here as your exit. It'd be way too painful. Awesome question. Awesome question. Robert, NNOX daily squeeze. Oh yeah, man, rocking and rolling. All kinds of buy signals, and then heading into today, you got lower time frame squeezes here on the 1 hour and the 5 minute. Now, admittedly, there's the perfect entry. Like day one of that squeeze and that buy signal. To me, that's the best entry. However, at this point, your 1 hour squeeze fires long, your 5 minute squeeze fires long. That might give you that continuation. So to me, if we can find lower time frame squeezes, once we're at this point where we could either continue to push, or we could revert back to the mean, that 5 minute, 30-minute hourly squeeze, I think is such a great gauge of what's to come next. We're up here at these extensions. If that 5 minute, 15 minute, 30-minute squeeze fire is short, we might be pulling back to that 21. They fire long, you might be getting some good continuation. But all right, folks, I will clear the way here in the free room. And then for those of you on YouTube, as always, thank you for all your time this week. And we'll just keep it on here, guys. Just to reiterate quickly, weekly charts on the S&Ps, weekly charts on names like Netflix, Tesla. So long as structure holds on our pullbacks, I think those pullbacks would serve as good buying opportunities. And in the meantime, we'll keep on riding out here with some shop and some Zoom. So thank you guys and gals. Really appreciate it. Hope you have an awesome day, and I will talk to y'all soon. Adios.